Welcome back to Bison Overtime. I'm Malik Mitchell.
And I'm Mentzel.
And we are back for another week and for another episode. So, for the first time on this show, we're going to start the show off with baseball. So, last weekend they traveled to Greeley, Colorado to play a 3-game series against the University of North Colorado, in which they swept that tournament. And it looked like it was a home run weekend.
I mean, swept, that was an understatement right there. It was utter domination for the entire weekend for this team.
Yep, on Friday they won 20-3 in 7 innings. Catcher and outfielder Jack Simonson was the first to put the Bison on the scoreboard in the second inning, hitting a home run to left center. And then 1 inning later, he came back and hit a grand slam to the left center again, making it 5-2 in just the 3rd inning.
And then adding on to it, in the 5th inning, Peter Brookshaw and Drew Sackett both hit homers in the left field into the 5th inning. And then the 6th, the Bison absolutely went off. Peter Brookshaw had a 2 RBI single. Logan Williams and Will Bush both had 2-run home runs. Brock Anderson hit an RBI double, and then Caden Schwabe also hit a 2 RBI single down the right baseline. And then a walk and an error by Northern Colorado second baseman brought in 3 more runs in the 7th inning. So it just got out of hand fast for Northern Colorado.
Exactly, and NDSU's 20 runs were the most in a single game since the Bison registered 20 against Purdue Fort Wayne in 2019. And NDSU also totaled 14 hits as a team, including 6 home runs. So the Bison were on top of this game. And the Bison were one home run away shy of tying the single game program record of 7, which was set in 1998.
Yeah, that is insanity. You know, how many times they were just able to get those hits, get them out of the park, too. Not just getting hits, just getting home runs that much in the game. Now, some of the top stats from that game, Jack Simonson, he had 2 hits. Both of those were home runs. And then Peter Brookshaw, Drew Sackett, Logan Williams, and Will Bush also all hit home runs.
Yep, and on Saturday, they won 9-5. Not as much, but, you know, they got the dub. Northern Colorado jumped out in this game to an early lead, scoring 2 runs in the 1st and 3rd inning. And then catcher Logan Williams cut that deficit after hitting his 8th home run of the season, which is also the team high so far. And that made it 2-1 in the 4th inning. Outfielder Terrell Huggins then shifted momentum after 3 RBI home runs to steal the lead 4-2. North Colorado wasn't going out easy, though. They battled their way back to make it 4-4 in the 6th inning, and then the Bison came back in the 8th inning with Terrell Huggins again sitting at RBI double to regain the lead 5-4. The Bison scored 4 more runs in the 9th inning to finalize their win, with pitcher Brock Anderson getting that late home run.
Yeah, and some of the stats from that game, Logan Williams, Terrell Huggins, and Brock Anderson all getting home runs. And so 3 more players getting home runs, and then Jack Simonson and Terrell Huggins had 2 hits each.
Yep, and then lastly on Sunday they won 15-1, another blowout in 7 innings. Northern Colorado scored in the opening inning with 1 home run to left field to make it 1-0. And then infielder and outfielder Charlie Hesse got something going in the 3rd inning. He scored his first home run of the season, which tied it up. And then after that they kept the ball rolling, scoring 6 runs in the 5th inning. Catcher Logan Williams had 8 RBIs, had the most in the single game in the NDSU Division I era since 2000 and 2002.
Yeah, some of the stats from that game, Logan Wilson getting those 2 grand slams in one game. 2 in one game and 3 throughout the weekend. That's just a great weekend for him. Charlie Hesse also had 2 home runs, and Williams and Peter Brookshaw both had 3 hits apiece.
Yep, they finished that tournament, and after that, let's go through some accolades. So Logan Williams had been named Ticket Smarter Summer League Player of the Week for the first time in his career also. So that's pretty good, and it's well accomplished because he did really good in this tournament.
Well, if I hit 3 grand slams in a single weekend, I better be getting some sort of accolade like that.
Yep, NDSU is now 15-8 overall and 3-0 in the conference. They have a 3-game series against Western Illinois this weekend in Macomb, Illinois. Now, the first game is today at 3 p.m. And Western Illinois is kind of doing terrible so far this season. They are 2-9 overall and 0-3 in the conference, and they got swept by Northern Colorado in that conference series. That's probably why the reason they were picked 6th out of 7th in the preseason coaches poll, and rightfully so. They went 7-20 last season in the conference, so I think this weekend the Bison should have an easy series.
Might have to get that mercy rule ready. It's going to get ugly fast.
Yeah. And then moving on to softball. So this previous weekend they traveled to Vermillion, South Dakota for a 3-game series also, and unfortunately they only won 1 game. And I think this series was just a battle of momentum.
Yeah, it was very back and forth the entire series. You know, one team had 1 game, one team had the other in dominating fashion, but then it was just that third game where it was just so close together. It's like very evenly matched on paper, and it showed in this series.
Yep. So on Saturday, they unfortunately lost 4-5. NDSU came out with straight business, though. They went up by 2 in the first inning. Cameron Muckett hit her fourth home run of the season to get that momentum going, and then South Dakota came back at the bottom of the second, tying it 2-2, and then the Bison would respond with 2 runs to put them at the 4-2 lead at the top of the third inning. Both teams went cold for 3 innings, and then USD snuck in 3 runs to win it 5-4. What were the top scores of that game?
Cameron Maycutt, she had 3 hits, including the 2-run homer that really helped the Bison, and an RBI single. Des Cardenas, Nicole Likia, and Skylar Patchett all had 1 hit each.
They also played later that day, and USD won again 7-1. No, we won 7-1. Now that's how you respond for coming off a loss.
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, it was just a dominating game in all fronts for the Bison, and especially after a tough loss like that where you had the game and then USC just gets those 3 runs late. So it's very good to see that they were able to rebound like that.
Yeah, the Bison just got on top of it early. They scored 4 runs in just the first inning. What were the top scores in that game?
Cameron Maycutt had 3 hits and an RBI. Molly Gates had 2 hits and 2 RBIs, and then Avery Wysong had 2 hits and an RBI as well.
And then on Sunday, it seems like they lost all of that momentum. They lost 8-1. Their only run was in the 6th inning.
Well, and I mean, for stats in that game, with 26 bats, the team was only able to get 6 hits all game. Nobody had more than 1 hit, and the 1 RBI came courtesy of Cameron Maycutt.
That's a tough blow. Even though South Dakota, was actually below us, but close in teams. I think they were number 5, if I'm not mistaken. We knew it was going to be a good game, but it's just unfortunate they only got 1, especially that one. They could have won 2 games with that close game, 5-4.
No, and it just felt weird because, like I said, in that game, all 6 hits came from different players. So everybody was able to get a hit, but nobody was able to do it more than once. And in the other games, there were a lot of players getting 2 or 3 hits. But in this one, everybody only getting 1 hit. That's not going to cut it in a series or in one single game.
The only thing that raises my attention is that how do you go from a close game and then to them, NDSU blowing them out in the second game, and then NDSU being blown out in the third? Like, how does that work?
It's definitely interesting. I mean, that's what's so much fun about baseball and softball. Every game is a new one, and it can go either way from one day to the other, depending on how the team feels heading out into the game.
Yep. So NDSU is now 19-15 overall and 1-2 in the conference, and they have a 3-game series against Omaha and Omaha, Nebraska. Their first game is tomorrow at 12 p.m. Omaha is ranked 4th in the Summit League. Was ranked 4th in the Summit League preseason coaches poll, right behind NDSU. So this should also be a good game this weekend. Yeah,
I do want to point out one player from this previous series, though. Cameron Maycutt, she was very consistently excellent in this entire series. Had a hit, at least 1 hit in every single game. She's been getting a lot of RBIs and definitely coming into her own so far this season.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the upcoming series, Omaha just came off a tough 3-game series against SDSU, and they only won 1 of those games. But I think they're will be a good competitor against NDSU this weekend, though. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good test to see how they can come off of this series that they just lost in a very tough fashion, especially against a team like Omaha, who's coming off a tough loss themselves. Who can rebound better? It's definitely a good question to ask as we head into the series. Yep. You guys be sure to tune in to that series. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into men's and women's golf and track and field. Stay tuned.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
My name is Becky Parker, and I'm a news anchor at WDAY-TV. I graduated from NDSU in 2010 with a degree in journalism, broadcasting, and mass communication technologies, and then I had an emphasis on broadcasting. Principles of broadcast production and advanced broadcast production. Those were favorites because they were the most relevant for career experience. You're calling people for interviews, you're writing an article. It doesn't just feel like an assignment, it's like actually doing it. I was the news director for the first full semester of the Bison Information Network. The BIN advisor here was very much invested in me to actually have a career in broadcasting. He helped me get my internship and my first job. The people in NDSU's Department of Communication are really interested and helpful in getting students the connections that they need in order to get a job beyond school.
The NDSU Bookstore, where every true fan and alum goes to get their pride on. Gear up with a variety of high-quality t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and more. Made by top-of-the-line brands like Under Armour, Nike, and CI Sport to help you show off your Bison pride. The NDSU Bookstore has everything you need in your two favorite colors, green and gold.
And we're back. We're going to dive into men's and women's golf and men's and women's track and field. So starting with men's golf, both teams actually, they travel to Golf Week any given Tuesday intercollegiate in Pawleys Island, South Carolina. And I see you're smiling.
Very interesting title.
Yeah,
we talked about it.
Oh my God, I hate these golf names get interesting it seems like every week.
Any given Tuesday though, not just a specific Tuesday. Any given Tuesday
is so dramatic. But the men's did pretty good. They finished third out of 9 teams. Now, the Bison shot their best round on the last day of the tournament with a negative score of -5 out of 283 points as a team. So Brock Winter led the NDSU with -4 round out of 68, taking 5th overall in the tournament. And then Nate Adams finished 2nd overall for the Bison. He tied for 13th place at +3. Jack Johnson finished tied for 17th place. So, well, this raises my eye because Jack Johnson is really good, especially last year as a freshman. He was one of the top. He would lead the Bison mostly every tournament. So this is kind of raises my eye, but it doesn't. Every player has a good tournament and a bad tournament. So, and then Ian Simonage finished 21st place for the event. And then, what's up for the girls?
Girls, they finished 8th out of 17 teams in the women's tournament at the True Blue Golf Club.
Mm-hmm.
Leah Scarr was the top finisher for the Bison. She had a career best 3-round total of 221, coming in tied for 7th place. And that's something about her and some of these other golfers too. They seem to be getting a lot better more recently. Throughout the season, I've been hearing a lot of career bests, so that's a good sign for the team. Also, Lexi Giolat, she finished tied for 32nd place with a 230 overall score. And then Jo Baranchik, she had 236 overall score. She came in tied for 54th place.
Yep, so they're back at it in 2 weeks. They have a bit of a break. So they have the Stampede at Creek on April 11th in Elkhorn, Nebraska. This is their last meet before they compete at the Summer League Championships. So see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting down to it right now, the nitty-gritty very end of the season. And like we said, it seems like for both teams, there definitely are some positives. The men earlier this season, they finished first in a tournament overall. The women seem to be getting better and better as every tournament goes on. So I feel like this is a very good season so far for this team, and we're gonna have to see what happens here at the tournament coming up soon.
Yeah, but it's a good thing to have a break though, just to reflect and see and fast forward to the Summer League Championships.
Especially considering the golf teams probably travel more than any other team does at NDSU.
Yep, and then switching gears to track and field. So both teams kicked their outdoor season off last Thursday and Friday at the Raleigh Relays in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now that title, again, it seems like I keep running into that. And then they also competed at the Yellow Jacket Spring Open on Saturday, so they kind of split the team up.
So very busy weekend, 3 straight days of events.
Yep, so on Thursday, Trevor Otterdahl threw an outdoor personal best with 19.07 meters to win the Raleigh Relays.
Carrie Wolf took 3rd place in the javelin throw with a throw at 52.11 meters.
And then sophomore Matt Kraft was the top NDSU finisher in javelin, throwing 187.8 and then 57.21 meters for 17th place.
Amanda Anderson was the NDSU's top finisher in the shot put. She threw 14.47 meters for a 14th place finish overall.
And then on Friday, Christopher Thompson threw a new discus personal best with 52.61 meters, placing 5th in the meet.
Friday was a pretty quiet day for the girls, unfortunately. The only major stat, Amanda Anderson throwing a 52.58 meters in the discus, taking 3rd in the meet that day.
And then freshman Caden Pastron ranks 10th in NDSU history for discus after placing 6th in his first collegiate debut, throwing 51.87 meters.
Yep, and then Bison senior Trevor Otterdale took 7th, throwing 50.60 meters.
Yep, and then at the Yellow Jacket Spring Open in Spearfish, South Dakota. Wow, what a name, Spearfish, South Dakota. The Bison won 3 events in the jump. So freshman Braden Brown won the high jump, clearing 2 meters, and then Hunter won the long jump with a mark of 6.91 meters.
Saturday was a busy day for the girls. Amy Phillips won the hammer throw with a huge personal best, 68.72 meters, ranking her 2nd all-time at NDSU in the event. She also stands among the top 3 in the NCAA this entire season. She only trails the record holder at NDSU, Maddie Niles, by only 9 inches now in that throw.
So North Dakota State's Trevor Otterdale and Amy Phillips were named the Summit League Field Athletes of the Week.
Yeah, so a very good weekend overall for both men and women, and a lot of stats, especially on Saturday at the Invitational on Saturday.
Yep, so good thing they're starting off their outdoor season on a good note. You know, I think this meet was very competitive. You know, the throwers did their thing in this meet.
I mean, the throwers seem to always do their things at every meet. You got the Otterdales, you got what Phillips did this weekend. It's just outstanding what NDSU, the strength in the arms that NDSU has on their track and field team.
So yeah, so their next meet is today. They're at the Stanford Invitational and Mike Finelli Classic. Both teams are competing, so let's see what they do in this meet.
Yeah, it'll definitely be very interesting. It's kind of like golf. We're getting very close to the end of the season now. The end of the season is in May, and we're already in April, so I mean, we're getting right down to it at this point in the year.
Yep, make sure you guys tune into those meets. We're going to take a quick break again. When we come back, we're going to dive into NDSU, a little bit of NDSU football, and then NFL. Stay tuned.
There are so many great things to experience at NDSU. It's hard to pick one, but my favorite is
the people. They make it such a warm place. The Bison aren't just across the country, they're across the globe.
It's the perfect distance from home. The faculty are our biggest cheerleaders. Hands-on research experience. The affordable tuition.
All the opportunities to stay active on campus.
Real-world learning experiences.
once I got on campus, it felt like home.
My name is Addie Stewart, and I graduated from NDSU in the Department of Communication in 2018. My degree was in strategic communication, and I'm the communications specialist for the city of West Fargo. That includes social media, press releases, breaking news, interviews, media relations, and more. I went into communication because I wanted to do something I was passionate about. There were so many opportunities. I knew I could work for nonprofits, government, small business, agency work. Professors in the department definitely impacted me a lot in my life, making sure that once I graduated college, I knew I could get a job here just because of the connections in the department and the great morale that was in Fargo. Future students should definitely come to NDSU because it's a degree like no other here.
The NDSU bookstore has everything you need to show off your Bison pride. The bookstore can have you sporting green and gold wherever you go. It offers many different brands, sizes, styles, and selection so that you find exactly what you're looking for. Shop the NDSU bookstore and show your spirit today.
And we're back. So we're going to start this segment off diving into a former NDSU football player. So on Monday, Jasir Cox, linebacker Jasir Cox, committed to West Virginia University in the Big 12. I think he deserves this opportunity. I always thought he was rather underrated because, you know, I don't know, he just didn't get his flowers, what I deserve. And he plays fast. He's very physical. He can also cover guys. I think he would do good and for this opportunity.
Yeah, and we talked about this before. His older brother, Jabril, he ended up transferring from NDSU. He went to LSU as a defensive end, did very good there, and it definitely helped his draft stock to get picked in the 3rd round by the Dallas Cowboys this past year. So, you know, it's definitely good to see that Jasir is going to get his opportunity as well. West Virginia, Big 12 school. Big 12, not exactly known for defense, but, you know, it's a good opportunity for him to make a good defense in that conference that really lacks it.
Right. He mentioned this season that he lacked making plays on the ball in the 2020 season, and he ended up with the 2nd most interceptions on the team with 3. So I think he'll be just fine in West Virginia.
I do too. Another guy that Another former NDSU player that we need to talk about, Christian Watson. He has been climbing up the draft boards recently. Now there's some people saying he's a first-round pick, possibly, in the late 20s.
Yeah, he had a good pro day. We saw that. He looked flawless, and all the hype around the Senior Bowl until now, I think it's all playing out in his favor. But to be a first round has got to be more than he expected.
Especially in this draft class, too, where there are a bunch of great wide receivers. You got Chris Olave, Tyquan Thornton. You got a lot of great wide receivers this year, and yet he's still up there with the top of all of them. That is just great to hear.
Yeah, you think your Packers are going to take him, or what's up? You need a receiver.
I mean, we need to take him. I mean, on the subject of that, Devontae Adams for the Green Bay Packers. Now we're transitioning to the NFL.
Yep.
This offseason has been bananas, to say the least. It's been one of the craziest offseasons we've seen in a long, long time. So, yeah, first things first, since we're on the subject of it, the Packers need wide receivers because Devontae Adams stunningly was traded to the Las Vegas Raiders for a first and a second round pick this year. And the thing is, the Packers actually, it's not a thing that the Packers weren't paying him enough. He didn't want to come back to Green Bay. He wanted to go to Vegas to play with his college quarterback, Derek Carr, when they played together at Fresno State. So the Packers were willing to actually trade him more, or pay him more, but he wasn't going to take it. He was going to Vegas. So now the Packers really got stuck with no options at wide receiver. Got Alan Lazard. Randall Cobb came back because he took a massive pay cut. But that's it. We really don't have anybody else. So Christian Watson I would love that.
Yep, Adam is expected to sign a new contract with the Raiders and worth $141.25 million over 5 years and average $28 million per year. That's a good contract.
Yeah, it's a great contract. And for a little while, he was the top paid receiver in NFL history, but that didn't last too long. There's a certain guy from Kansas City who wanted to say something about that. Good old Tyreek Hill.
Yep, and then Bruce Arians a couple of days ago just stepped down from head coach of the Buccaneers and is now transitioned to the senior office department. How do you feel about that?
It's definitely very interesting, and there's a lot of people making rumors that Tom Brady was the reason that he retired because those two have never had a good relationship together. And they were saying that maybe Tom Brady wanted him out as a head coach or he didn't want to deal with Tom Brady anymore. I'm not sure that's the case. He retired a few years ago from the Cardinals due to health issues. I'm not sure if he exactly wants to be in the head coaching role anymore. He wants to do the executive stuff now, which is fine by me. Now, as for Todd Bowles, very interesting. And I know I've talked to you about I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. It's just because his only career head coaching experience, granted, I know it was with the New York Jets, still wasn't great, though. I mean, he had that one very good year with Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2015. They had a great year and were one game away from making the playoffs until they lost in Week 17 to the Buffalo Bills. But it's definitely very interesting. So what do you got to say about it?
I think Todd Bowles did an outstanding job with the Tampa defense. I mean, the Bucs are essentially shut the Chiefs down in Super Bowl 50, which is amazing in itself. I think Todd Bowles would find success in his new job. I mean, I know you mentioned that he had that 1 year with the Jets, and then the rest didn't go so well. But in 2014, the Jets were 4-12 in the AFC East division, right? And then the next year, like you said, in 2015, they went 10-6. That's not a coincidence. His presence definitely made. And then I want to mention that it's the Jets. There's only so much one man can do in that type of organization. So I think, it was just his environment that made, the losing seasons, and I think he'll do just fine as head coach for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and it'll definitely be interesting to see. And you made a great point about his defenses, but 2020, yes, he had one of the greatest defenses I've ever seen ever since the 1985 Bears. But unfortunately, last year, defense kind of cost him in a couple of key moments. In Indianapolis, they gave up 31 points. That divisional game against the Rams, he called a crucial blitz on a play where it really made no sense to, and that allowed Cooper Kupp to get that catch to get him in field goal range. So, I mean, I don't know if that's going to affect things heading into the head coaching role, but not anybody's perfect. But we'll see what he can do with Tom Brady coming back now.
Yep, and then we can talk about Deshaun Watson traded to the Browns. Alongside with a 2024 6th-round pick in exchange for 3 first-round picks. Now, how do you feel about this? With all the allegations, people think he probably wasn't going to get picked up.
I don't know what to think of it right now. I mean, honestly, at first, everybody in the NFL was saying that it was down to 2 teams, either the Saints or the Falcons. And everybody was stunned when all of a sudden Cleveland got him. But the problem is, he still might not be able to play day one. He might still get suspended, and it might be for a while. So I really don't know how I feel about this. Cleveland's kind of got like a Ben Roethlisberger situation back in 2005 when he had those allegations. It's kind of like, you feel a little unclean, but at least you got a better quarterback, so to speak.
Now, how would that make the NFL feel? Because, it's because Ben Roethlisberger, he didn't get suspended, right? He played.
Yeah, he only got suspended a few games, but it wasn't much.
So I really want to see what they do to Deshaun Watson, because if he gets more or less, how do you think that will raise tension in the NFL?
It's definitely strange. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott a few years ago, he didn't even get charged. He got suspended 6 games.
Yep. So
it's definitely going to be very, very interesting to see how they do this. I feel like personally with quarterbacks, they try not to give them larger suspensions for the sake of them having to play for money purposes. But, we'll have to see. I mean, they still got to go through a second grand jury yet. So,
speaking of money, he got a $230 million contract guaranteed. And I think he surpassed the biggest contract for a quarterback, right?
Yeah, in guaranteed money. And that's the part that has me scratching my head. I don't know what Cleveland's thinking there. You can't be giving him that much money because say this doesn't work out. Say he doesn't he lost some of his fling that he had in Houston.
Yep.
Then you're kind of doomed if you're Cleveland. You lost a lot of draft picks. You got a lot of money in the tank for this guy. You're kind of doomed. And also, what do you do if you're Baker Mayfield now?
Yeah.
Now what? He's not going to be a backup in Cleveland.
No.
He might have to be, though, because nobody's taking any offers to trade him.
Well, we're going to have to see what that comes to, too, later in the season. And then we got Tyreek Hill traded to the Miami Dolphins. I don't know how I feel about this. I think Kansas City is going to lose a big piece. Tyreek Hill really was a big piece in that offense. Now, what do they really have at the outside position?
Yeah, they're really losing everybody from their Super Bowl year. That was just a couple of years ago. Yeah. And the funny thing is, the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of messed the Chiefs up on this one. They gave a massive contract to Christian Kirk, making him $18 million per year. That just set the whole NFL ablaze because now their receivers, the top receivers, are saying, well, I need more money than that guy. He's not doing nearly as well as me. So, yeah, the Chiefs were not going to pay Tyreek that much money, so he eventually decided, well, you know what, I'll get traded and somebody else is going to pay me that much. Turns out Miami did it, and they're getting a lot of people down there in Miami right now. So we'll just have to see how this works out for him. But he is now the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Sorry, Devontae, it only lasted 1 week.
Right. And then we got Von Miller signing to the Bills on a 6-year deal. I know people thought him and Aaron Donald were going to retire, but I guess Von Miller had other plans.
I feel like Von's still going to be in the league for a while, but the contract kind of confuses me. It's a 6-year contract. He's currently 33 years old right now. Now, technically, it's only a 3-year contract because the last 3 years have a void out in them. But the thing is, even then, you're paying 3 years for a guy who's had kind of injury problems recently and who might be on the other side of the hill, if you get what I mean. So, I mean, I get they want to make their defense better. He's a very good leadership role, but this just might have been a lot of money, like too big of a contract to pay possibly for this.
I mean, he's a Super Bowl winner.
Well, of course. Yes, he's a two-time Super Bowl winner, but the thing is, I mean, that's kind of why he didn't stay in L.A. He probably would have stayed in L.A., but he's already got the rings, so now he's just looking for the money at this point. So the Bills were willing to pay him that money. Speaking of crazy things to go on, Russell Wilson, the quarterback, the longtime stalwart of the Seattle Seahawks, traded to the Denver Broncos in exchange for a lot of players and picks. Get ready for all this.
Yep.
Denver traded them quarterback Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, defensive tackle, and the captain of their defense, tight end Noah Fan, who they just spent a first-round pick on 3 years ago, along with 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th-round pick. And Denver gets Wilson and a 4th-round pick. So Denver's really going all in with Russell Wilson now. That's all they're doing. They're putting their chips on the table and saying, Russell, take the wheel.
And rightfully so. He is a really good quarterback, and he's a leader. And I think that's what probably Denver needs right now, especially because they do have good receivers, and now they just need someone to throw to them.
They've had a great defense for years, and unfortunately, they just never had the quarterback play. You look at all the quarterbacks that they've had ever since they won the Super Bowl in 2015 with Peyton Manning. It is just absurd how much they've gone through.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel? Do you think the Broncos will improve or just kind of stand still of what they've been doing?
It's kind of hard to say right now because that whole AFC West looks like they're getting so much better.
Yeah.
Every team. Raiders got Devontae Adams. Chargers got Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. The Chiefs are probably still going to be the Chiefs even if they lose Tyreek Hill. Now you got the Broncos getting Russell Wilson. So it's going to be very hard to say who's going to get better or who's going to be worse over there.
And speaking of worse, I want to dive into our conferences, right?
Okay.
It's no secret you're a Packers fan.
Yeah.
It's no secret that I'm a Cowboys fan. And now, we had a debate yesterday about the NFC lease, right?
Yeah.
I think your conference would be the NFC least.
I don't know. NFC least is always NFC least.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Bison Overtime. I'm Malik Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm Dash Mentzel.
And we will catch you guys next week for an episode. Stay tuned. What did he